Game 7 in Philadelphia. Sixers number 1 seed out East. They played their behinds off this season. They got that number 1 seed. It led them to a second-round matchup against the Atlanta Hawks. By the way, I know Philly is pissed the New York Knicks didn't beat the Hawks in the first round. Atlanta gets to the second round. This three-point shooting team, still very young, inexperienced. They go into Philly in Game 5 and come back from down 20-plus points to stun the Sixers. Game 5. Give Sixers some credit. They go to Atlanta. Game 6, take care of business. Then we get to Game 7, and that's where most of this story will take place. Sixers-Hawks Game 7. Winner gets a chance at Milwaukee, who had a tough time with Brooklyn. Sixers, at home, get booed off of their own court following a 103-96 loss. Trae Young wasn't great. He struggled from the field. Joel Embiid gave you 30 and 10 again. But the storyline coming out of Philly is none other than Ben Simmons. Despite giving you 13 assists and managing to give you 8 rebounds, just 5 points, and I think the bigger story is just 2 for 4 from the field. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ben Simmons story has reached its peak. It's awful. This is as bad as it's ever been. Ben Simmons won't shoot. Watch me now. It's not that he can't shoot. We don't know if he can't shoot or not. He won't shoot. So many of us are to believe that he doesn't shoot because he can't shoot. I don't know where Philly goes from here with Ben Simmons. Look, I'm going to just say this about Ben. It scares me because Ben Simmons is a guy that seemingly doesn't lack confidence off the court, but when he gets onto that basketball court, at this point, it's in his head. We see in the offseason when Ben's working out, he's knocking down three-pointers everywhere. But when we get to the regular season, he's not taking them. I think Ben Simmons got a pretty decent-looking jumper to me. It's a smooth-looking jump shot to me. But we don't see it enough. And it reached its peak. I told y'all I'm picking Atlanta. Before this series started, I said I'm picking Atlanta. Ben Simmons' shooting woes are going to catch up with Philly at some point. And it was the second round. And now the Sixers are at the crib. And I don't want to hear anybody blame Joel Embiid today. That big fella did his job. Pretty much every game of that series on a torn meniscus. And I want to focus on Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid here because in their post-game interviews, they didn't just take up for Ben Simmons this time around. And Embiid, over the years, we know him and Ben Simmons ain't best friends, but give Embiid credit. Over the years, he ain't really just threw Ben under the bus like that. And Doc Rivers has only been in Philly for 1 year. And Doc Rivers came to the defense of Ben over and over this season, even in this postseason. But last night he stopped. So Joel Embiid said he thought the turning point in the game is a spot where Ben Simmons has an opportunity at a lay-in, and he opts to pass it to Matisse Thybulle. Matisse goes to the line and misses a free throw. And then Trae goes down, I believe, and knocks down a three. And Atlanta gains momentum, and Philly's never able to get it back. Doc Rivers went up to the post-game presser, and I actually was disappointed in Doc. He went up to the post-game presser and said, when asked, would Ben Simmons be your point guard if this team is looking to compete for a championship? And he said, I can't answer that question right now. I thought that was a weak move from Coach Rivers. I thought that was weak and unprofessional. I know Doc's probably pissed right now that another season ends and a second-round exit for him. And by the way, Doc Rivers has found pretty much every way to lose in the playoffs. He's already blown multiple 3-1 leads, the only NBA coach ever in history to do that multiple times. We saw what happened last year against the Nuggets when he was with the Clippers, Kawhi and PG. By the way, speaking of Kawhi and PG, I know Kawhi's down right now, but Paul George and the Clippers are in the Western Conference Finals. They got a real chance against Phoenix. They're in the conference finals, a place that Doc, what was he in Los Angeles for 7 years, was unable to take that team. Ty Lue in his first year, he's got the Clippers in a place they've never been before. That doesn't look good on Doc. And Doc Rivers, after the season, had no problems throwing Paul George under the bus. Had no problems throwing Paul George under the bus last season. Now what? Paul George is balling out right now. He's leading the team without their best player in the conference finals. Maybe the Clippers lose, but at least they got there. Doc Rivers has found a new way to lose. As a number 1 seed, he got bounced with a Game 7 on his own court against a 5 seed in Atlanta. They ain't never been there before. It's bad for Doc. And for him to go up there to that post-game presser and all of a sudden stop taking up for Ben after you went to bat for him. I mean, hell, in this series, he was asked about, have you thought about sitting Ben Simmons for significant time or not starting him? Doc was like, no, if you got Ben Simmons, you got to play him. I'm summarizing. He was like, if you think Ben shouldn't be on the court, you don't know basketball. Well, hell, in the late games of the last few series, the late games in the late stages of those last couple games in this series, you sat Ben. So what? Do you not know basketball now? Your rhetoric and your logic behind that is irrational, Coach Rivers. Sixers at the house. I'm giving Ben Simmons 75 to 80% of the blame. I'm giving Doc Rivers a strong 25-20, though. That's a strong 25-20. They're the only 2 people I'm giving blame to today. Now, maybe you got a couple percent you give to guys at practice who sat around and let Ben Simmons not shoot the basketball for all these years, and we get the game. That's what did Philly in last night. It wasn't the fact that Atlanta was a better team than him. I still think Philly's a better team. Record says that, by the way, in the regular season. What Philly knew, what that team knew is, Ben's our best defender by far on the perimeter. Not even close. We can't play our best defender. Trae Young's lighting us up, and we can't play Ben because Ben's scared to get fouled. Not only is Ben afraid to shoot jump shots, he's afraid to go to that line. So now he's not only not taking perimeter shots, unless he's camping out in the lane and can easily throw it down for a quick 2, he's not even attacking the rim anymore with the same ferocity that he did in the regular season. At least Ben would go down the lane in the regular season, but those games were a lot less meaningful than these playoff games where every possession matters, especially the game 5, 6s, and the 7s of the world. Ben's like, I'm not even going to risk it. So his aggression was weakened, and he's now camping out in the lane. The problem with that is you got a 7-foot monster in Joel Embiid that needs space to operate, which means he has to back it on up because he can shoot better than Ben can, who's your point guard. So Embiid oftentimes is stuck shooting mid-range jumpers and 3-pointers, which he can make, to be fair to him. But obviously that's not the best aspect of his game. His footwork is the best aspect of his game. His agility is the best aspect, one of the best aspects of his game. He can't be the best version of himself because he's having to back it on up. Because Simmons is camping out in the lane for easy deuces at the rim. If he can't get an easy one, he didn't want the rock. Because he ain't going to that free throw line. If he's driving on the perimeter and you touch him and he gets a foul, he doesn't want to go to that line. So, yes, I'm giving Ben Simmons the biggest portion of the blame. But I'm definitely giving Doc some. Doc, if you're thinking about it, if Philly's talking, you, Daryl Morey, and Elton Brand and company, if you guys are internally speaking about trading Ben Simmons, why the hell would you go up to the presser and dog him? Because that's what you did. That ain't Embiid's job to keep Ben Simmons' draft stock high. His job is to go out and give you 30 and 10, which he did most of that series. It's y'all job to keep the personnel high, to keep the value high. So when y'all try to go into the market this summer, which they're going to try to do, Ben Simmons is toast. Philly's going to try to trade him, be clear. And the fact that this team maybe had a chance at James Harden just accounted a year ago and wouldn't give up on Ben, we called that ridiculous then, and we're calling it even more ridiculous now. Why would you go to that post-game presser and say you don't know if Ben could be the point guard on a championship caliber team? Why would you do that? If your goal is to trade him, gas him up. So not only do you not want him to be your guy, now you're telling every other thing. Who's going to go trade for Ben Simmons right now? That's the morning talk with everybody. Every show I've watched or every little clip that I've seen from every sports show, we need to trade Ben Simmons. Philly needs to trade Ben Simmons. Ben has got to go. Y'all do realize every other GM has a phone as well. They got a TV as well. They consume more content than probably the average Joe than me or you does, because that's their job, to be informed on what the talk is about their team and other things. Y'all do realize people talk. Y'all do realize these high-paid TV personalities oftentimes do lunch and dinner with GMs and scouts and things of that magnitude. People talk. Agents talk. You do realize dogging Ben Simmons out doesn't help his draft stock. Like, who in your right mind would trade for Ben Simmons? For me, personally, you'll be better off trading for a lot. There are a lot other younger guards that I could get at a lot less bang for your buck. And though they have discrepancies and they got some deficiencies in their game, to me, the worst one is the person that won't shoot. Not that can't shoot. Like, Giannis can't shoot. Let's say Giannis was a little less of a player he is right now, which right now he's obviously one of the MVP candidates year in, year out. He's 1-2 back-to-back. If Giannis was let's say he's an A-level player now. Let's say he was like a B-plus level player, right? I'm still banking on Giannis because Giannis is taking threes. He's just missing them. I believe one day Giannis is going to be will he ever be Steph Curry? No. But he's going to be a guy that can knock it down. For sure. Look at him. The shot doesn't look bad now. It's improving. It used to be like right here at the chest. It's up a little bit. He's getting better as we speak. Now he can call glass every now and then. It ain't great. It ain't good. But it's better than what it was. He's getting better, and he's confident enough in his game to keep taking it. The people are booing him. When Giannis goes to the free throw line, they're counting to 10. You don't think he's dealing with some stuff? But he's got the ultimate respect and confidence in the work that he's putting in. Where is that at, Ben? And Philly, why would y'all downplay him? Like, y'all going to have a hard time trading Ben as it is this summer, which is why I think the Boston Celtics got on the phone and traded Kemba Walker while the playoffs were going, right? That's what I believe. I believe Philly was like, or Boston was like, look, we don't want to give Oklahoma City a chance to get their hands on Ben Simmons. Maybe they like Ben Simmons more than they do Kemba Walker, who's had some injuries in his career. We're going to make a trade in the playoffs. That's how bad we want to get rid of Kemba before Ben Simmons and the Philadelphia 76ers get eliminated. So look, man, that was an awful performance from Ben. You know, this was a situation that we all knew was coming. I don't know if Ben ever thought this through. He probably did, because he probably thinks about this crap like every portion of the day. Like, I just don't know, how did Ben Simmons and Philly think this game was going to end? Did they think this game ended with them winning a championship? Because Philly was close with the struggles of Ben Simmons, but they weren't getting past Milwaukee like that. And if you thought they would get into the final, let's say the Suns get to the NBA Finals. Chris Paul, whenever he gets back from COVID protocols, he would have licked his chops at an opportunity to guard Ben Simmons. Like, this one of the highest basketball IQs. Like, Chris Paul's only 6 feet tall. Ben Simmons 6'8", 6'9". He would be licking his chops to come up with a game plan for Ben Simmons. You gotta be kidding me if you thought you were gonna win a championship. I guess my question is, when did Ben Simmons think this game was gonna turn around? The question is he putting in the work? I don't know. I don't know if he's putting in the work. He says he's putting in the work. When we see the offseason videos, it look like he's putting in the work. But the regular season production, nope, not from the three ball. And I told y'all a couple of days ago, I think Ben Simmons is wild. I've been a Ben Simmons on the court. Now, I have not been an NBA player or as talented as he is passing the basketball or rebounding the basketball, but the concept of it remains the same. When my jump shot's not falling, I'm always like the 8th or 9th or 10th guy on the court. I don't have the luxury of just taking jump shots until they start to fall for me when I'm playing basketball. If I miss 3 shots, I probably ain't getting that rock no more. And I only bring that up to say Ben Simmons knew he was not going to have that jumper going this year. And he knew last year. And then he knew the year before that. So what has he done? He's kind of tried to hide it with the ability to get you 10 assists any given night. The ability to go get you 10 rebounds every night. He tried this year. And this year was the greatest attempt, right? At least not shooting. The greatest attempt at changing the narrative around him. This year, he said, I'm the best defender in the world. That was his thing all year, trying everything in his power to deflect from the fact that he will not take a jump shot. And now what? Because what we learned about today's NBA is that shooting is the most important trait by far. Defense is nowhere near as important as shooting is today. So if you got a good defender versus a good shooter, you got to roll with that good shooter in 2021. Now, maybe 10, 12, 15 years ago, the good defender was more valuable. The Ron Artestas, the Bruce Bowens, the great defenders were more valuable than the good shooter. But not in 2021. If you could shoot that rock like a Bogdanovich or a Kevin Huerter or definitely a Trae Young, you're just way more valuable than a guy like Ben Simmons who could play defense. Because if you can play defense and can't shoot and can't make free throws, I don't care how good you are defensively. As we saw in that Philly-Atlanta series, you just can't keep a guy like that on the court.